You have a few admits for masters in robotics from US universities, and one of them is from NYU. How should you make the decision? Hey everyone, my name is Kajal, and most people opt for university ranking when making the decision. A better approach is to speak to current and recent graduates from those universities. So in this series, I do exactly that. In today's interview, I speak with Naveen, a current master's in mechatronics and robotics student at New York University. In this interview, we talk about course structure, including thesis and how to find professors for thesis. We also talk about fees, financial aid for international student and living expenses. And most importantly, we talk about the pros and cons of studying masters in robotics at NYU. One of the things that I really liked in this interview is the factors that he said that you should consider when choosing universities. He also talks about specific people for whom the program at NYU is best suited. I'll include all the timings below, and without further ado, let's get into it. Hey Naveen, can you introduce yourself for the audience?
Hi, I'm Naveen Kumar and I'm doing my master's in mechatronics and robotics in NYU in Tandon School of Engineering, and I'm from Jodhpur, Rajasthan, India.
That's awesome. So let's get started. And I'm actually going to start with an audience question. They wanted to know which universities did you apply for admissions in robotics, and what made you choose NYU?
So the thing is that I have targeted two countries, Germany and United States. I have applied to approximately every robotics university in Germany but couldn't get into. In United States, I applied for to NYU, John Hopkins, Colorado Schools of Mines, University of Colorado Boulder, and WPI. I got out admit from two universities. There's a school called Colorado Schools of Mines, and other is New York University. And I chose NYU based on its ranking.
Well, thank you for sharing that information. And now let's talk a little bit more about NYU. So you mentioned the degree name is Mechanical and Robotics. Can you also tell us a
It's
little bit more?
mechatronics and robotics.
Mechatronics and Robotics. Thank you for that correction. So can you tell us a little bit more also on what the structure is? Is it only courses? Is it a thesis, no thesis option? What kind of options exist? And is it like a choice, or it's just like you have to do it this way?
So my program is MS Mechatronics and Robotics at NYU Tandon. It's a 30 credits program in which 21 credits are coursework at least, or you can go up to 24 credits for coursework, and you have to do 6 credits of project or 6 credit of thesis, or you can do a 3 credit of project with 2 internships, which account for 1.5 credit per internship. So the thing is that there are 5 required courses: mechatronics, advanced mechatronics, foundation of robotics, entrepreneurship, and simulation tools. Then there are 2 specialization. One is mobile robotics and other is medical robotics. In mobile robotics, there are 4 courses. You can take at least 2 courses to get your specialization. In mobile robotics, there are 4 courses: robot localization and navigation, swarm robotics, reinforcement learning and optimal control, and robot perception. And in the medical robotics specialization, you have 3 courses: robots for disability, gait and manipulation, interactive medical robotics. At least 2 courses to get your specialization, and you get one free elective of 3 credits. And you can take any course available at NYU, which can be from any NYU school. Maybe it's NYU Business School, that is NYU Stern, or any computer science school, that is NYU Quran.
That's awesome that you can also go outside the robotics department. But I'm curious, is there a particular course that you really enjoyed and you would recommend that, hey, if you do end up in this course, do take this course?
So I personally feel that I'm taking one course called reinforcement learning and optimal control. So it's a really good course. To be honest, I am coming across some algorithms related to dynamic programming, and the thing is that I'm doing my master's thesis related to reinforcement learning. So I particularly recommend this course to everyone. And apart from that, I believe that there's one more course called robot localization and navigation, in which I get a chance to write entire Kalman filter. It's a good thing, I believe so.
Yeah, that's actually a really good experience. Now, talking about more on the thesis side, I know that for thesis, you need a professor to work with. And I know in our previous conversation, you mentioned that you wanted to share your experience and your views. So, can you share them with our audience today?
The thing is that when it comes to a thesis, yes, it is suggested that yeah, one should do in a laboratory with a professor. I mean, one should need to get into the laboratory because the thesis requires a lot of efforts and you need guidance. Earlier, NYU was hiring only a small amount of students, for example, 20 to 40 students. Now it is hiring around 80 to 90 students, and in the batch which is junior than me, there are 120 students in the robotics program, and there
Wait,
are
wait. Sorry, just a second, just to make sure I get this right. So you're saying the scale of students went like just crazy proportional. As you
yes,
mentioned, your junior batch has
yes,
120. And what about your current batch size? Around 80?
90.
90. Okay.
So the thing is that there are only five professors, so there is a lot of competition between students to get a project or thesis for their master's program. And even I also talked to professors, and professor told me that they cannot take every student because they also have a limited space in their laboratory. Anyhow, all 90 students got projects, but I'm still worried about my junior batch. So the thing is that like it's really hard to get. And the thing is that there are some professors, like there's a professor called Professor Giuseppe Loano. He has a lab called Agile Robotics and Perception Laboratory. In that, he mentioned in on his website regarding the master's projects that he can offer to students. And he also mentions the prerequisite. So one can focus on those prerequisite in first or second semester, and then can apply for master's project. And if he or she perform well and learn those prerequisite very well, then yeah, they can get into the laboratory. Otherwise it's really hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Even during my master's experience, because professors have limited funding and they
Yeah.
also can only handle so many students at a time. So it's not like very easy to be able to have that opportunity to work with professors.
Yes, because of this problem, professors have mentioned everything on their website. Otherwise, previously, students just apply, get information from professor, and because there's a less number of students, getting a project is somewhat easier in previous years. However, right, it's quite difficult, and I'm doing my master thesis with Professor Chan Fang. He's a mentor for AI for CE Lab, and I can say my experience is going good. However, he is dealing with a lot of students who are doing their project and thesis.
Yeah, I can understand. I want to give a shout out to our today's sponsor, Weekly Robotics. If you're someone who's looking to get information about robotics in your inbox on a weekly basis, do check them out. What I like about them is it's actually handpicked by Matt himself. So it's not just news that is coming through, but it's news that is curated for robotics, drones, and space technologies. It also has a section with jobs. So if you're interested, do check them out. I'll include a link here and in the description below. And also a huge thank you to Weekly Robotics for sponsoring today's video. Now, another audience question that came in is about fees. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how the fee structure is? Is there any way that they can get some assistance, such as assistantship, working with professors, or maybe there's some kind of funding or scholarships, given in mind that most of these students are international students?
So the thing is that when it comes to fee structure of NYU, it is a 30 credit program. So per credit, a student has to pay around $2,300. So and a student is supposed to take 9 credits per semester as an international student.
Yes.
So this is the thing. When it comes to financial aid and something like that, when you apply, this is my suggestion, this is my personal suggestion, is that try to apply as early as possible, because if you apply early you will get the financial aid from NYU. I didn't apply early, so I'm getting only $3,000 per year. However, my friends have applied quite early. Some are getting around $10,000 per year as a financial aid. Some are 8,000, 7,000. So this is the amount. Apart from that, yeah, you can apply for on campus. However, it is also hard. And then there are also some assistantship NYU offers is regarding. They offer some assistantship in food. There's something called dining dollars that you can utilize while purchasing the food at NYU cafe or something like that. Fees is quite high. I mean, you can say you will be paying around $20,000 per semester for your 9 credits.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you mentioned that you can get financial aid if you apply early. So do they have to like take additional step? Is it like you have to apply and maybe give a resume or interview, or it's just they give it along with the
It's
application?
just, to be honest, it's just based on overall evaluation of application. Usually, the person who has higher GPA, higher percentage can get easily around $10,000 per year if he has applied early. But if someone is applying after the deadline, that is, if I'm not wrong, it's December 15, then financial the amount of financial aid is somewhat reduced. And yeah, they also look at other parameters like research paper and everything. And professor actually gives scores to application, and then NYU decide who to take, who not to take, and then how much financial aid should we give. That's the scenario here.
That makes sense. Now, I know along with the fees that you pay to the university for studying, as an international student, you have to think about rent, food, any other expenses like buying a laptop, and so on and so forth. How do you manage these finances? Do you have any tips? Anything you would like to share?
So from my personal experience, I can say, I mean, like, when it comes to rent can go from $500 to $1,000 per month, and it's a lot. Actually, to be honest, it's New York City, so it's a lot. There is Jersey City nearby, the New York. The thing is that in the same amount of rent, you get a bigger room, and the commute is somewhat more than the when you are coming from a location in New York City. For example, my campus is in Brooklyn, and I come from Brooklyn, so it's a 30-minute duration. However, if I come from Jersey City, it's around 40 minutes. So it depends on place to place where you live. And the rent is like, I am paying around $600 per month, and I'm living in a shared room. The thing is that in Brooklyn, rents are quite varying. I live somewhat far from campus, so it's around 500. If I'm living quite nearby to the campus, and if I'm sharing, it's $1,500 per month. And if I'm living alone, it's $3,000 per month. That is a lot of. When it comes to food, usually if a person gets food from Jersey City, because there is no food tax. However, New York City has a food tax of now 9%. So if one can buy food from Jersey City at a bulk quantity, then it's a good deal. And there's a supermarket called Costco. So one can buy some small bread, eggs, and some small things from Costco in cheap prices. That's, I believe. When it comes to other expenses, yeah, things are really expensive here, to be honest, from other parts of the United States. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and also coming from countries like India, you definitely get that shock in terms of the price jump.
yes, honestly, things are 4 to 5 times higher, but it's fine. I mean, like, initially, what happens is that when you come here and when you try to set up your room and everything, you buy a bed, chair, table, and everything, you make a lot of expenses. Yeah, one more thing. I can say one can take the advantage of metro here because it's New York City. So metro is quite reasonable. It's around $2.75 per ride, and you can go to A to B point, and the B point can be anywhere in the New York City. So that's a good thing. And
Yeah, that I would agree with you. If you live or if you end up in a city in US which has trains, great. But I cannot say that for the rest of US. Do expect if you're
yes,
going to universities that are in towns that there'll be no public transport. You might have to figure
yes,
out a way to even just go buy groceries. So it's really great that if you're in New York, you have this amazing metro system.
yeah, I completely agree. Apart from that, I usually take, because I daily come to campus, so I take weekly passes. That's around $33. But yeah, it's reasonable. I mean, it's completely all right. And for 7 days, it's worth it. I believe so.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, given your experience of studying robotics at NYU, what is the advice you would like to give to those who are applying or those who have gotten admit and are going to come to NYU to study robotics?
I would like to give a very truthful and honest advice that I want to give is, before considering NYU, I want to let you know that it is going to be a very, very, very expensive experience. However, it will worth it, but it's going to be very expensive experience. And in the United States, one should consider location more than the ranking of campus. The reason is, for example, there's a university called Northeastern University in Boston. The thing is that in their robotics program, usually uh, people get internship quite easily because there are many robotics companies in Boston. And apart from that, they also are doing co-op. However, there are less companies in the field of robotics in New York City. So yeah, it's hard to get co-op, and sometimes it's really tough to get an internship. Apart from that, it's New York City, it's really expensive when it comes to rent. I'm paying 550 or around 550 to $600 as a rent. But when it comes to one of my friend who's living in the other part of US, he's paying $300 for whole apartment. It's really cheap. So do consider the cost aspect before coming here. I also wanted to say the course structure here in New York University is quite basic. In mechatronics, you will be studying a microcontroller that was used in 1995. That's called Basic STEM 2. That is not used in industries. And apart from that, yeah, you are going to learn many things which are quite basic when it comes to the mechatronics aspect. In advanced mechatronics, you are going to learn Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and there's another microcontroller called Propeller. But the thing is that you can learn those things while doing your personal projects. In simulation tools, you will be doing MATLAB and all these things, and that you also can do personally. That I feel there's one course in required courses I found is good, that is Foundation of Robotics, because you will learn everything related to forward kinematics, inverse kinematics, and everything that actually applies on a robotic man. There's one course called Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a mandatory course of our program, and I don't think so it does make sense. The reason is it's a course for someone who is going to start a business, or maybe works in a startup which is still growing. It should be a necessary course, and sometimes it becomes a problem, I believe so. But the thing is that because of this basic structure, it's sometimes become hard to get a project or thesis under a professor, because whenever you go to any professor's website, you will find that they are using reinforcement learning, deep reinforcement learning, and these kind of terms that you are not going to learn in your recommended courses. So sometimes it becomes hard. I believe that this program is best for two kind of people: either those who doesn't have any experience of robotics because the course structure is really best for them, and someone who are coming from a background who have in which they have experienced a lot. For example, one of my friend has an experience in UAE of working around 8 to 9 years in the field of robotics, and he's doing 9 credit thesis here. So yes, this program really worth for it, he says. But yes, for example, me, I have only 2 years of working experience in the field of robotics, and I found the course structures quite basic, and the project and thesis are somewhat challenging. Everyone finds the same thing. So I believe that if you are considering NYU, please look at other choices regarding their location, cost, and everything. And if you don't have any option, then consider NYU. That's I can say.
Yeah, I think you gave really good advice. Definitely look at the location because it affects internship and co-ops. Also look at courses, not just like, okay, this is a master's in robotics.
Yes.
And I can understand that coming from countries like India where we only look at the name of the degree. It's
Yes.
important that you look at the courses, and most professors will even have the syllabus out. So if you just look at the course name, as you mentioned, right, that it might say advanced mechatronics, but if you go look at the syllabus, you'll be like, okay, this things I don't know, then yes, great for me. Or you could be,
Yes.
as you said, I have 2 years of experience. I know all of this. So it doesn't make sense for me to have like a 3 credit course where I'm doing things I already know.
Yes, yes, that is the thing. So that's what happens with me. And yes, one more thing. I forgot to give one advice. Please guys, if you are coming to the United States and if you have applied for robotics position, if you want to get good robotics jobs, please start studying data structures and algorithms and start practicing your programming exercises on lead code. I still regret this because the thing is that I couldn't secure good internships because I couldn't crack my programming interviews. And I want you to do this because the thing is that DSA is not a required part of robotics. However, it applies on the software or the application that you make for robotics, the program you do.
And I agree with him. Do those lead code questions because, as he said, it will be applied in a way that you don't think of, and in every interview you give, you will be asked a coding challenge that's just similar to lead code, and if you've not practiced it, you will struggle and not be able to clear those interview rounds. The other thing I want to say, thank you Naveen so much for sharing your experiences and helping others who might be interested in doing robotics in US. Any last words you'd like to share?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kajal, for giving me an opportunity to express everything that I wanted to express to the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out and be willing to share your experience. If you enjoyed, make sure to give it a like. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.